and welcome to my living room. After 4 months in 30 states, I'm back home and it feels really, really good. You don't miss your home until you have lost it. I'm so happy soaking in the bathtub and sleeping in my king bed after being cooped up in an RV together with my husband for 4 months. What you just heard was Lady Ibanez for the very first time on my GK 210 Legacy amp and flatwound strings. While we were in South Carolina, my bass teacher Steve and his wife Rita had invited us over for dinner to their home, and we custom set up, or I learned how to custom set up my Ibanez with flatwound strings, and I really, really love it. I don't regret putting them on. It sounds great. Well, you might ask, so where is all your adventures? Where are they all? If we don't see anything on the channel. I had to promise my husband, Clay, not to put anything out until we are back home because he was worried that our home gets robbed. Can't blame him for that. So I have tons and tons of footage from 30 states and you will see it. I thought I start today with the very end, coming home. And as I got so many questions, and I thought I start this by doing a Q&A and answering the questions before I give you the first footage, which I already have done, and you will see it right after that this week. So let's start. The most question, I got the most, was what is your favorite state from all of those you have seen? And I gotta tell you, every state has something special we loved, and there was no horrible state. We can't say we were in a state we really hated. So that didn't happen. All states had something we really, really loved. Our front contenders, which we loved the most, was South Carolina, Lake Greenwood, Louisiana, the bayous and New Orleans, and also Virginia. Virginia I really, really, really enjoyed. So that was that. The next question I got is, did anything go wrong on your travel, or did you not encounter any problems? Oh, of course we did. I think in Washington, Montana. When we drove into Montana, I think our check engine light went on the RV. And the code is catalytic converter. So my husband thought maybe we got bad gas, and he put in some cleaning agent and turned back the check engine light. So it didn't come on for a while. He actually didn't tell me. It came on again maybe after 1,000 miles. And he didn't tell me because he knows I'm getting really nervous about that. Anyway, it was in Shenandoah, I think, when he finally said, well, the check engine light is back on. We have to look for a dealer who can fix that. The problem is with the RV, the RV guys don't work on the Ford chassis. And the Ford dealers usually don't work on the RV parts. So because they don't have the bay high enough to get an RV in. Lucky as we were, we found a dealer, Ford dealer in Richmond, Virginia. Very friendly people, unbelievably customer service. And they said, we get you in on the same day, you don't even have to wait, we will fix it. Let us order your catalytic converter. Only 9 in the United States were available. I said, yeah, go ahead, order it. That's a $5,000 invoice, by the way. around, not exactly, but yeah, with all the bells and whistles, 5,000. And they ordered it, and we could come in to the dealership right on the day when we were in Richmond. Anyway, I had a few nights booked at the KOA in Richmond because we wanted to look for Civil War stuff and historic stuff. So it wasn't even a diversion from our initial plan. Went in right on the day we were in Richmond. They fixed it, and we could pick it up in the afternoon and go our way. So many thank yous to this Ford dealer in Richmond. So there was that answer. It wasn't the only thing that went wrong, but that was the main thing. Then you asked me about the most funny incident. Well, we were in Fayetteville, North Carolina, at the Fayetteville RV resort. Very nice campground. If you look for one in that area, that's a good recommendation. It's close to Fort Bragg, where we went to pay respects to my family members who are buried there. And maybe that visiting those graves made us kind of, I don't know, not focusing on inspecting the RV before we left. I don't know. I usually go around the RV, look that everything is locked and packed in. I close the windows and everything. Same, my husband does the same. On that day, we drove off, and just before we hit the highway, right at the end of the camping resort, the tech guy from the resort stopped us. And he looked at us and said, "Do you notice that you have your awnings still out and your electric cable on the other side is fluttering in the wind?" Oh my God, this was so embarrassing. We literally drove off the campground with our awning out. I mean, it's like a comic movie. And I looked at him and all I could say is, "We are from California." And he looked back at me and said, "Uh-huh." So we gave California a bad reputation. I'm sorry. It was so funny. We laughed. I think an hour later we still laughed, because picturing that RV with the awning out, of course, we could have had an accident on the highway, with the awning out in the second lane. Anyway, that was funny. And what else do you want to know? How to keep peace being confined to a 30-foot motorhome for 4 months. That is easy to answer. You need to have 2 noise-canceling headsets so that everybody gets that kind of separation. My husband sitting in the living room of the RV, in the living area, watching his old westerns, and I sit in the back of the RV practicing my guitar, my bass, or watching my stuff on the computer. That gives you some kind of separation, which you need. You can't always do the same thing at the same time. Or I went out swimming and he stayed in the RV, or he went out, shopping and I stayed home. So it's doable. You just don't have to expect doing everything together like the Bobbsey twins. So, next one. How did you keep yourself busy? Well, I played my bass guitar, obviously. I played Black Betty unplugged because that was the easiest, my acoustic bass. So I don't need to plug her into an amp in order to practice. I really loved that. So I did that, and I read 3 books, Elvis and Me from Schilling, Susie Quattro, Unzipped, and The Bakersfield Sound, which is about Buck Owens. And I think I finished all 3, and then of course we also hiked and soaked in the jacuzzi and went to the swimming pool. So there's always something to do. And also, you know, it's always exciting to go to a new town the first time and find all the eateries, find Walmart and all that stuff. So we were busy, we were bored. Most exciting, definitely, that I was able to play one song at the Grand Ole Opry. They were very nice to me. It was actually a joke. My husband said, "Why don't you take your bass with you and ask if you can play in the Grand Ole Opry?" And I thought, that's actually a good idea. So I took Black Betty with me. And they said, well, I can't record anything. I can't do anything electronic, but I am allowed to play my acoustic bass. So I was able, after the background tour, when we toured all the Grand Ole Opry stuff, they asked me to wait in the green room. That alone was exciting for me, sitting in a green room where all these stars were sitting before me, like Dolly Parton or, you know, Johnny Cash. So that was already an experience. And then they asked me out on stage in that little circle from the original Grand Ole Opry building. And I was allowed to play one song. I played Tennessee Whiskey. And it went well, and it was just a major experience. I mean, there were only the people there who were in my backstage group and some technicians, but still it was a big experience, and I got a photo from it, so you will see that later when we do the Tennessee State. Have some patience. What else did you want to know? Oh yeah, best and worst camp spot. We really didn't have a bad camp spot. All the camp spots were really nice and really good. Some of them were better than others. We loved Bullard's Beach State Park in Oregon. Really nice trees. You don't even see the next RV neighbor. So very, very pretty for a state park and full hookups. Then we loved North Carolina, Fayetteville RV Park. We loved Lake Greenwood, South Carolina State Park. We were camped right next to the lake. You know, I could dip my foot in the lake, and it was so pretty and so beautiful. This was a really good camp. I think it was actually my favorite camp spot. Then Utah, Salt Lake City was nice. Oasis, Las Vegas. And Devil's Tower in Wyoming. That was also a KOA, yeah, Devil's Tower. And these were the ones I would say are a little bit better than the others, but in general we had great camp spots. None of them were bad. So, most disappointing. Well, I have to say, my visit at Sweetwater in Indiana, I felt like a kid in the candy store when I walked in, and it's really fun. They even have the traffic signs with guitars, you know, the pedestrian walkways are with guitars, little guys with guitars. And so it's really fun, and it's a huge building. They have a nice cafeteria. They even have health service for their staff in there, and it's huge. So that was all impressing. And they invited us to stay overnight for free. That was really nice. But I kind of looked for bass guitars. So I was focused on bass guitars. I wanted to see a Schecter Riot, for example, or a Kayla U bass. I wanted to try an Ibanez acoustic bass. I had some ideas what I wanted to do. And when I went into the bass section, there were only 5 bass guitars. 3 of them were Fenders, and I was really disappointed that they didn't have one. They didn't have an Ibanez on display. It was, one of the Fenders were a really good acoustic bass, I have to say. But I wanted to try more, and it took me 3 staff members before somebody said, yeah, we can go into the warehouse and bring you whatever you need. And the third one was actually very friendly, and he brought me the Ibanez acoustic, but that was it, and that took half an hour. So I was taken back, asking again for a Schecter Riot or something else, because you know, it didn't feel like they wanted me to go further. Having that said, the electric guitar section was very big, and so if you are not focused on bass guitars, you might have a different experience there. The percussion section was big, the electric guitar section was big, then the production section had good stuff. So if you look at all this, you have a totally different experience there. But for me, with kind of a tunnel view on bass guitars, it was disappointing. Next one, my Harvest Host experience. All Harvest Hosts we picked were really nice. I gave them good reviews. Some of them gave for free electricity, some of them had water, and that I will consider next time, to pick Harvest Hosts with electricity, or yeah, because you need AC when it's hot. Of course you have, you can do that self-contained, but it's noisy, and some Harvest Hosts don't want you to do that. So if you have electricity, you can plug in and you know, run the AC, and that's definitely an advantage. So if I take a Harvest Host again, I probably will look for electricity. Water is not that important, but electricity, when you go in summer and you are sweating, you need the AC running. That is nice. What would you do different next time? I just said, yeah, filtering different for the Harvest Host. Then definitely I would bring less clothes. I had way too many clothes. And the other thing is Wi-Fi. I chose campgrounds that said Wi-Fi, but some of the campgrounds had really very spotty Wi-Fi, which I consider not having Wi-Fi, and they basically lie in their ads when they say they have Wi-Fi. So I would make sure I call them and ask for the Wi-Fi specifically to find out how good it is. Because I take lessons, I continued taking my bass lessons during that trip, and I needed Wi-Fi for the Zoom meetings, so that was important to me. At Oasis in Las Vegas, Wi-Fi was there, but spotty. So it went from 5 bars to 1 bars and back. So I was concerned. I went to the camp office, a park office, and they offered me to have my Zoom meeting in a, they called it the theater room. It's kind of an event room with good Wi-Fi, and I accepted and did just that. So it pays to ask them for a solution if you have a problem like that and you need good Wi-Fi for something. They will accommodate you, most of them. That was a good experience. Last but not least, I love to shop at Lidl. The German bread there is unbelievably good. We don't have a Lidl here in Northern California where I live, in Gilroy. I love to shop Aldi, another German shop. They have the German salami, which I like. Then Cracker Barrel, great restaurant. We don't have one here. And Wawa gas station, they have the best subs, custom made. They are mainly in, I think, Pennsylvania and Virginia. We had them. Yeah, that's mainly where we found them. Wawa gas station. Then Bucky, the giant shop that almost overwhelmed me a little bit. But it's kind of interesting to go there and shop. It's a giant shop at the gas station. Then Love's is, I think, the best gas station. They have the most room to get in with an RV and a Jeep Wrangler in tow. That's a over 40-foot vehicle. If you put everything together, 30-foot RV and plus the Jeep Wrangler, it's about 42-foot. Yeah, I like those, and they have really clean restrooms, Loves. So that was what I took away from traveling. Anyway, these were the questions I got asked. I answered them, and from now on you will see every week one video from one state, or let's say, well, for example, when we only drove through states like half an hour, like Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, I'm not gonna make a video from that half an hour. I added to the one we had from Washington, because we stayed at a harvest house nearby Spokane, right? Actually in between Coeur d'Alene and Spokane. So, you know, I attached these states to the states where we stayed longer. But you will get every week one state. I have lots of footage. I have to edit, but I already started, and it will start right after this video. So have fun, and I hope I can encourage you to take a trip somewhere. It really pays. I know a lot more about the United States now, and we had tons of fun, not regretting it, doing it, and also at the same time, it's great to be home again. As I say in California, peace out.